Hello, New York Giants fans. Welcome back to the Everything New York Giants podcast. I'm your host, Adriana, also known as New York Giants Fangirl, on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as a surprise to probably no one, the Giants walk out of Miami with a loss. They lost 31-16. And not only did they lose in, a pretty ugly fashion, and for the most part, if the offense could have gotten anything together, they maybe would have had a shot at winning this game. We lost our quarterback. Daniel Jones left the game with about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter with a neck injury. So let's start off with the injuries first, because unfortunately there were quite a few of them. So Daniel Jones, obviously, being the number one injury that we need to talk about. Now, we know that in 2021, Daniel Jones also had a neck injury where he missed 6 games. So he spoke to the media after the game. He said that, he was feeling a little bit of soreness and whatnot. He reiterated multiple times when asked about the injury, what it feels like, what does he think it is? Does it feel similar to what happened in 2021? And he basically just said that, he's got to go through the tests. He's got to do MRIs, go through the trainers and stuff like that. So he is getting an MRI today. I am not so sure when we will have the results of that, when we will know what the update is, since the players have off on Tuesday. And usually Mondays is like a film walkthrough, treatments type of day. So I'm not so sure if we're going to get any type of updates. But, in my opinion, neck injuries are very scary. I dealt with one of my own. Jones ended up having to have surgery in the offseason after his last injury. So, it's very scary. I am honestly shocked that it took this long in the season, based on the amount of times that he's been hit, to leave a game with a serious injury. As far as I'm concerned, obviously we don't know what the injury is. We don't know how long he's going to be out for, but if it was a broken bone or something like that that required, an ACL, something like that required him to be out for maybe the rest of the season, I feel like it's a miracle that it wasn't that. So listen, I hope he gets good news. I hope he's okay. We'll see what happens when he get the results of the MRI. There's 2 other injuries that I wanted to talk about here. Tyrod Taylor got the wind knocked out of him. He is okay. He came in, obviously, when Jones got injured. He was in the game for all of 3 or 4 minutes before he got sacked twice, one of them which was called back because of a defensive foul. So we obviously all know the offensive line is a problem. We're going to get to stats and stuff in a second, but let's round out the injuries. So I actually hadn't noticed much of this in the second half until I saw a tweet by the Giant Insider that said Azeez was not on the field in the second half. Azeez is dealing with some sort of ankle injury that I guess happened in the first half, and according to Dan Duggan, this is what Azeez said. He felt like his ankle got caught in the grass late in the first half and twisted out, and he felt a little pop. He said it's probably a sprain, but he hasn't had an MRI yet, so he will probably be getting more testing done today. He tried to play at the start of the second half, but said he didn't have stability to plant. On suffering another injury, he said, "I don't know what to say, it hurts." It hurts for more than just him. It hurts for all of us as the fans. I love Azeez. I love the explosive player that he is, but the reality is that he is off the field more often than he's on the field, and as a team that is suffering with a lot of issues, we just can't deal with that. I don't expect Azeez to be back next year. The last injury, Deonte Banks said his ankle got rolled up on the second to last play. When asked if it's okay, he said hopefully. He didn't seem overly concerned. So the way this season and the team has been going, my hope every week, yes, I want to see them improve. I want to see them play better. But also, I just hope that they don't get injured. And after that game, we're already down Thomas. We're down John Michael Schmitz. We're down Saquon. The last thing we needed is for our quarterback to get injured. And the only other thing I'm going to say about this is, you don't have to like Daniel Jones. You don't have to root for him. If you're a Giants fan and you think that another quarterback is better, fine. If you were cheering on his injury, you're a disgusting human being. There is no excuse for that. I don't care that you don't like him. I don't care that you don't think he's a good player. You might as well be an Eagles fan because that is atrocious, disgusting behavior. And if I see it on any of my pages, you're immediately getting blocked, and I'm going to report you because that is horrendous. Like I said, I say this week in and week out, you don't have to love the guy. I know there's plenty of people that hate him for no good reason, which is truly mind-boggling to me. If you want to hate people, take your energy out on the Eagles and the Cowboys because they deserve it. Like, hating people on your own team, you're not a fan, so stop it. It's absurd. Let's talk about some stats. So, Jones was sacked 6 times for 19 yards. Tyrod Taylor 1 for 3 yards, and then the other one that was taken back. Jones 14 for 20 for 119 yards. Taylor 9 for 12 for 86 yards. Total of 183 passing yards. I mean, you're just not winning games when that's the best that your offense can do. When it comes to the rushing attack, you know, in the beginning, we saw some good plays from Eric Gray. I think he's going to be a really great running back. And, you know, all of the problems on the offense seem to stem from the offensive line. You know, it's going to get sorted out at some point in my lifetime, I hope. Like the way it's going, I don't know. But, you know, it's been really hard to get a run game going, both with and without Saquon. Obviously, no one is Saquon. Eric Gray is not him. He's not a replacement for him, but he's the second best. And, you know, Breida was okay too. Eric Gray, 12 carries for 25 yards. The longest was 8. I mean, I appreciate that that Kafka and Dable, they did a little bit more in the run game. That's what I wanted to see. I would have liked to see them stick with it more. I mean, the pass blocking is still just not there. So I think they should pound the run a little bit more and just keep trying. Also, can we run outside the gaps, for the love of God? There are no gaps up the middle. They're not, especially when Bredesen is playing center. There's just no gaps, so let's try an outside run. Nothing frustrates me more than watching the same shit over and over again. And it doesn't matter who the running back is. It can be Saquon, it can be Eric Gray, it can be Matt Breida. When they're running straight through the gaps and there's no gap and they can't get through it, what are we doing? Frustration. Jones was right behind him, 4 carries for 24 yards, Breida 9 for 21, Taylor 3 for 14, and Wandale 1 for 1, a total of 85 rushing yards. No offensive touchdowns, so can't expect to win games like that. And listen, we all know that Miami's a really good team. I think a lot of fans went into this game saying we have no shot at winning. Honestly, when people saying that the Giants were going to score 14 points, I was like, I'll be happy if it's not a blowout. I don't know where you think this offense is going to come out with 14 points, but they scored 16. No offensive touchdowns. So let's continue on with the offense. Darren Waller probably had one of his better games. 8 receptions for 86 yards. He led the team. Darius Slayton was behind him. 2 receptions for 35 yards. Campbell, 2 for 23, Hodgins, 2 for 19, Wandale, 5 for 18, Shepard, 1 for 3, Bellinger, 1 for 7, Breida, 1 for 3, Gray, 1 for 1. So total with the 205 passing yards. My biggest concern with the wide receivers has nothing to do with them and everything to do with the coaching. Why did Jalen Hyatt not get a single snap last night? He might have gotten a couple. I feel like I saw him out there a little bit in the first half. I saw the red gloves and the cleats. Not a single target. And look, I know that the pass blocking is a huge problem and Jones has no time. And the poor guy is seeing ghosts and he doesn't trust anyone. And I don't blame him. I mean, we got former players coming out and saying that, like, it's literally impossible for Jones to do anything. I just don't know what people expect from him. But why are you not... Please get Paris Campbell off the field. I was Paris Campbell's biggest cheerleader this offseason. I thought outside of Darren Waller, he was going to lead the wide receivers in receptions. But he drops balls. When he catches the ball, he can't stay on his feet. I'm like, dude, you are not playing in the rain and snow. I don't know why you can't catch the ball and stay The ball's been right in his chest. They have not been bad throws. There's no exception for it. I have seen enough from him. I want to see Jalen Hyatt. The guy can be used as a slot receiver. Why are you not using him on a 5-yard slant? He's got, I mean, the amount of videos I've seen of OBJ, and we all know this, we witnessed it at the time, slant, he takes a 5-yard slant for 50 yards. I mean, Jalen Hyatt is that guy. He can be that guy. I just don't know why he's not involved. I do not want to hear the excuse that it's because we can't throw the ball down the field. Because Jones took a couple shots yesterday, one to Darren Waller, one to Darius Slayton. I'm pretty sure there were only 2 of them. Why is Jalen Hyatt, why are you not throwing to Jalen Hyatt? Why? Replace some of Slayton's snaps with Hyatt. Or better yet, get rid of Campbell and put Hyatt in the game. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. And what I don't understand is why not a single beat reporter asked him about it last night. Everyone's asking about Jones and the injury and blah, 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 and Dable's stone cold, no emotion, whatever, which I don't think is a good look. Like, we have seen him be so fiery on the sidelines. Where is the frustration? Why are you not screaming at the offensive line when they come off the field? Okay? He yanked Joshua Zudu after he got 3 flags in 1 series and then ends up putting in, I don't even know who he put in. It doesn't matter because they didn't do a good job either. You know, you put someone in to replace him and that's it? I mean, listen, I really feel for Joshua Zudu. All the beat reporters said, I don't think he spoke to the media, but they said that after the game, he's sitting in the locker room literally crying and blaming himself for Jones getting injured. The guy's a guard. Why are you putting him at tackle? Him and Evan Neal both are not capable of that. I understand that obviously there's problems with the line. I mean, we all know, okay? I was going to make a joke. I'm not going to say it. But we know there's problems there. But it's when it's not working, at what point do you switch positions? It doesn't matter at this point in the season, right? We're not a playoff bound team. I don't really feel good about this team turning it around, especially not if Daniel Jones is out. Forget it. I don't know what we're going to talk about for the upcoming weeks, but let me know in the comments if you guys who are watching on YouTube, if you guys have any idea besides Caleb Williams, because I'm not talking about Caleb Williams only for the next however many weeks are left in the season. So we could talk about college offensive linemen. I know that's going to be a big hot topic and whatever else, but Zudu was drafted as a guard. They tried him at tackle throughout the offseason. They thought, oh, Matt Pert just rang the bell. That's who came in for Zudu. It's like, it's not funny, but it's so outlandish that it has to be funny because it's so out of control. At this point, like I said, move people around, okay? It's not working. Andrew Thomas is going to be back at some point. If he's not going to be back at some point, put him on IR so we can bring a veteran in here. I don't care. Use the $5 million that's left in the cap hit or the $6 million, whatever. Use it on a fucking veteran at this point. Like, you got to do something. Zudu is not a tackle and neither is Evan Neal. I'm not out here going after the bus narrative, but it's not working at tackle, so move him to guard. Just try it. At this point, what do you have to lose? We're probably going to see Tommy DeVito on Sunday against the Bills, realistically. We're going to see Tyrod, and then if we're, blown out, which is a good possibility by halftime, then, I mean, if I'm Tommy DeVito, I'd be like, see ya. I'm not coming in behind this line, but might not have a choice. So the pass blocking and all, it just leaves me speechless at this point. Like, I don't know what the answer is other than trading for a really good guard or tackle, or just picking someone up in free agency. I mean, there's got to be someone who's available, The little bit of hope that I have is that we should see Justin Pugh on Sunday. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. He's not going to be like our savior coming in and fixing this line. But I do think that his veteran experience and his leadership is going to be really important. He's going to be able to help someone like Joshua Ezeudu, who obviously is really struggling. He's going to be able to help him. Maybe he's going to be able to give some sound advice to Evan Neal. At this point, I don't really know if advice is going to be what's going to help him play better, but I just don't know what it's going to take. And I think at this point in the season, just try anything. Like, you know, the front office is going to say, you know, they're still trying to win and they're trying to, you know, salvage the season and whatever. But if that's the case, then you have to make changes on the line, okay? Either get rid of Bobby Johnson because all of the players are clearly not progressing. And at some point, you have to say, well, they played okay last year. What is the problem from last year to this year? I don't want to hear it's the schedule. It's not an excuse. We played the Cardinals, for God's sakes, and almost lost. So there's no excuse. You got to do something here. And I don't think firing Bobby Johnson is going to solve all of our problems either. I think maybe it's going to help whatever regression is going on with these guys. I know Ezeudu didn't really play last year. I know McKeithen didn't play last year. I know Andrew Thomas is not a problem. You know, I think when John Michael Schmitz comes back, he's going to be okay. But when you look at someone like Evan Neal, who's a top 10 pick, who's, you know, one of the best coming out of college, you have to wonder, what is the problem? At some level, it's him. Sure, of course. He has to execute. That's on him. But he was not this bad last year. And he did a lot of work in the offseason. So is it, when Dable claims that they have good practices all week and they're ready to go for the game, is it the coaching that's making him go backwards? I mean, it has to be to some degree. Maybe it's 50-50, maybe it's 70-30, maybe it's 60-40, I don't know. I don't think anyone really knows the answer to that, except maybe the people inside the building. But you got to do something about it. I don't know. I really don't know. Let's talk about the fumbles quickly. Eric Gray had one. Joshua Ezeudu recovered it, and then Thibodeau had the fumble recovery. Now, let's talk about the defense because they are... Listen, the defense finally came out a little bit. I feel like the defense is getting to the point in the season where I don't know what happened the first 4 weeks. Maybe it was meshing, and maybe it was the fact that they didn't play a lot together, and there's a lot of new guys, and yada, 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 whatever excuse they want to come up with. Last week, we saw them finally, like, we got a glimpse of the defense and we were like, okay, maybe this is like the beginning of what this team could be, right? Like, we're seeing a little bit of potential now. And then we saw a little bit yesterday. They went from having 0 turnovers the first 4 weeks to having 3 in one game. Now, they still were a disaster, okay? The issue that happened with Adoree Jackson in the second half where Trey Hawkins was covering, was it Waddle or Hill, on that 69-yard reception that he ran in, I think he ran in for the touchdown. I don't even know. They scored enough yesterday. There was an issue with Adoree's helmet, and the chin strap, I guess, was not connected right. So I guess instead of burning a timeout, they decided to put Trey Hawkins out there, and we all know how that went. So it's things like that. Like, I know you can't prevent things like that from happening. Like Jones last year with the contact coming out. Like, sometimes shit just happens. But, like, it's just a reflection on the mistakes that we're seeing from the coaching staff. And, again, I am not going to be the one out here who's like, Dable is McAdoo 2.0 and he's got to go in the middle of the season and all this crazy shit that some of you insane people want to go on a tirade about. It's not... I want you to understand that getting rid of the head coach in the middle of the season is not going to fix anything. The coaching issues, the issues that Dable, like the questions that we have around him and some of the decisions that he's making are not the bulk of the reason why this team is losing. The reason why this team is losing is because they can't play football. And that's on the players. Some of it is on the coaching, yes. Jalen Hyatt not being involved, the fact that the O-line is regressing, the fact that the defense can't really make a ton of plays. Like they made some yesterday, like I said, but it's just at some point, you got to realize like the players have to do their job too. It's a combination of both things. Anyway, Bobby Okereke, I think, had his best game yet as a Giant, led the team with 10 total tackles, 4 solo. Isaiah Simmons got a bulk, if not all of the defensive snaps, which is what I have been waiting for since the day that he was signed. And he was right behind Okereke with 9 tackles, 7 solo. So that for me is a bright spot. We're finally seeing more Isaiah Simmons. There's not a lot of bright spots, guys. We got to take what we can get at this point. And for me, Isaiah Simmons playing that many snaps and him playing pretty well is good. Xavier McKinney, 8 total tackles, 7 solo. I think this might have been one of McKinney's best games. I still have a little bit of beef with McKinney. I need him to focus on tackling and not always stripping the ball. I understand that they feel like they have to make plays. I get it. I understand the frustration from the defense when him being one of them spoke to the media after the game and basically said, we did as much as we could. Now they could always be better. No one's going to argue with that, I don't think. But he basically said, like, you can't really blame us, you got to blame the offense. And I am going to blame him for trying to strip the ball every play. Just make the fucking tackle. I cannot tell you how many times in every single game, and I'm sure you guys will agree with me because you've seen the same thing. Instead of tackling, he's going after the ball, and the player, doesn't matter if it's a running back, a wide receiver, or tight end, they are still getting yardage after the catch, the carry, whatever it is. They're still going, and they're getting 2 yards, and they're getting 4 yards, and they're getting 5 yards because he is not focused on tackling the player and ending the play. It drives me absolutely up a wall, and I am losing my mind over it. I need him to stop doing that. I understand. This is also my problem too, is you don't have any room to talk trash about anyone. And I know he wasn't really talking trash. He was trying to say, like, we have to play better as a team, all of us, all 3 sides of the ball. But like, when you get sacks, stop the run, you can make big plays, get forced turnovers, and win games, by all means, go ahead and say that. Don't do that when you've been embarrassed over the last couple weeks. I cannot tell you how many clips I have seen of him missing tackles. So stop. It's enough. I was happy to see Dane Belton in there yesterday. He's another guy who missed a couple tackles. I mean, the tackling seems to get a little bit better every week. It's still a problem. And again, I don't know how to fix it. Jordan Renan said that Wink was running tackling drills during the week after the Niners game before the Seattle game. And it seems like it helped a little bit, which apparently is a very odd thing for teams to do in the season. The fact that they actually did something about it and tried to fix it shows me that they all understand it's a problem. I don't know how long they can get away with continuing to do that every week. It seems like they might have to continue to do it until they stop missing tackles. So I don't know. They gave up 500 yards of offense. So while they did look better and they turned the ball over, yes, it's on the offense to score points and make plays. However, they still gave up 500 yards of offense. So, I don't think it's fair for them to come out here and be like, we did everything we could. You tried, I'll give you that. Jason Pinnock, beautiful. Interception for a 102-yard touchdown. The only touchdown for the Giants the whole game. So I get the frustration there. I get it. But like, the defense got to be better. So that's enough for them. Bobby Okereke also had an interception. So we'll touch on the turnovers just for a second. Obviously, Jason Pinnock, beautiful touchdown. Bobby Okereke had the 1 interception for 7 yards. So again, I'll give the defense props. They went from having 0 turnovers to 3 in 1 game. Miami's a very good team. Tua made some questionable decisions. But, you know, we need the offense to capitalize that when the defense finally makes plays. And I think this is the problem that we're seeing across the board, right? Is there's no complementary football. Just none. I don't know how to fix that. I don't. Other than, you know, players executing and coaches being better. So maybe we'll see it this year. Maybe we won't. Eric Gray, 1 kick return for 20 yards. Graham Gano, 3 for 4. The longest one was 51 yards, and he made it. The 55-yarder, he didn't make it. And, you know, I am never going to get on Graham Gano. The guy is pretty much perfect. But it seems like almost no one on this team is reliable, right? Graham Gano has always been Mr. Automatic. And I feel like it's just an omen about this team this year. That when pretty much your best player and Mr. Reliable in 5 weeks has missed 3 field goals, and it's not his fault. Maybe it is, I don't know. But it's just like, I mean, when he's doing that too, I'm like, we can't even catch a break. We cannot catch a break. 3 turnovers, can't score touchdowns. Jones goes a game without turning the ball over. Great. Still can't score. It's just very frustrating. Last up, I want to talk about Jamie Gillen. Jamie Gillen, I mean, I got to give the guy props. He might turn out to be one of the better players on this team this year, which is saying a lot. He had 4 punts for 161 yards. The longest was 49. Out of the 4 punts, 3 of them were inside the 20 and no touchbacks. Great game from Jamie Gillen. Last guy I'm ever going to talk shit on until he gives me a reason to. Look, it is, I don't know what else to say. One thing I did want to say is Kayvon got a sack. I forgot to highlight him for that. So, and he also was the only defensive player to have a tackle for loss. So, there's that. Listen, guys, I don't know what's ahead for this season. I don't know what's going to happen with Daniel Jones. I will keep you guys updated. Like I said, if Jones is not back for I don't know how long, I'm still going to talk about the Giants, but I'm maybe also going to talk about some college football or hockey. I don't know anything about hockey, so I don't think you want me talking about that. But, you know, I don't know what our draft picks are going to look like for next year. What I do know is that we're going to have a lot of money in free agency, and we are going to have draft picks. Now, with that being said, there is still a lot that we need to do to fix this team. Starts with the offensive line, though. That is the number 1 priority. I'm going to end it out with this on the offensive line. The Dolphins recorded 14 quarterback hits and 7 sacks. That's 28 hits and 18 sacks allowed in the last 2 weeks. That is historically bad. Now, I was looking at Daniel Jones' sacks, okay? This year, he has already been sacked 28 times in 5 games, which is an average of over 5 sacks per game. In 2021, which was his best year so far, in 11 games, he was sacked 22 times. He is on pace. If he ends up coming out of this neck injury and he continues to play, which if I'm him, I'm like, absolutely fucking not. Like, I am not going back out there with this disgusting excuse of an offensive line so that I can get murdered week in and week out. I know he's not going to do that. He's too competitive for that. But I hope that I hope Joe Shane is like, listen, I am so